Alright, I just got done watching Hardcore Justice, TNA Hardcore Justice, and thought I'd give you guys a brief opinion on it. The show started off with Chavo Guerrero Jr., who was just recently signed on, teaming up with Hernandez versus Gunner and Kid Kash. I gotta say, why is it? What kind of fucking logic is it? It's like, oh, we have a Mexican guy, so let's team up with the only other big Mexican guy we have here. Actually, I'm pretty sure they have more big Mexican guys, but Hernandez is the first one that comes to mind. And also Gunner and Kid Kash also seems rather, thrown together. But at the same time, they work well enough. They seem rather parallel in the argument that they made earlier that it's the two small guys teaming up with the bigger guys. And this match, I gotta say, it was a good match. Like it's nothing special, but I'd say it was a good match. It had good action all around. It looks like each of these guys knew how to hold the crowd over, and it didn't seem like the crowd got bored at any time. The hot tag that Chavo let Hernandez get in was actually really cool, and the crowd seemed to really like Chavo for this one. Let's give this match a number 7. Chavo and Hernandez picked up the victory with the frog splash. Good match. The next match was for 20 points in the Bound for Glory series. I'm actually liking the Bound for Glory series so far because it actually is really displaying a lot of guys in a way that actually shows them, oh, look at what this guy can do. Look at what this guy can do. So it's actually a really good way of putting over a lot of guys. Now, this was initially a 4-way dance. However, before he could make his entrance, D'Angelo Dinero the Pope was jumped by Aces and Eights, a recent group that has actually been kind of a cool storyline. It's like if the Nexus was more well done. So D'Angelo Dinero was jumped. He couldn't make it to the match. So this became a triple threat Falls Count Anywhere match between Rob Van Dam, Mr. Anderson, and Brutus Magnus. Yes, a match between a stoner, a loudmouth, and an Englishman, officially making this the widest match in wrestling history. But I gotta say, this match was kind of underwhelming. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm saying it was good, but for like a stipulation like Falls Count Anywhere, you think it would be grandiose, just enormous sense of scale. But all the spots they did, they didn't feel like they had as much impact as they really should have. For doing a Van Daminator, it kind of felt like, oh yeah, he got hit with a Van Daminator, yeah, And there were a lot of spots like that all around. There were still some really good moments, but it didn't really have as much of an impact. But still, it flowed well, and each guy again got to display himself really well. But the big spots themselves, I don't think stood out because I think there were too many little big spots or little hardcore spots that were just kind of took away the thunder of the bigger ones. But still, good match. Rob Van Dam wins with the Van Daminator off of Brutus Magnus. So yeah, Rob Van Dam gets the points. The next match was Kazarian versus Devon for the television title. I gotta say, like, I'm not sure whether I would give this above a 7 or not, but I will say this was better than the last 2 matches. Devon versus Kazarian was definitely a better match. I really can't say anything besides the fact that it was just a really well-worked match. It's difficult to say. When a match doesn't have, like, anything truly memorable or truly exciting about it, it's difficult to say how it was well-worked, but I'll just say Devon versus Kazarian for the TV title was well-worked. And surprisingly enough, Devon actually won. A guy like Kazarian, who many have argued that should be a world title contender, he didn't go over. Devon did. But, yeah, good match. The crowd really got into Devon. I'd give it like a 7 or 8 out of 10. Next match was Madison Rayne versus Miss Tessmacher. Okay, all the shit with Madison Rayne and Earl Hebner. I would normally be grossed out by the idea of a young lady going out with a really old guy like Earl Hebner. But 2 things. 1, Earl Hebner is awesome. And 2, Madison Rayne kind of looks goat-faced. But the thing is, all the promo shit and all the storyline they're doing for this was fucking hilarious, man. Like, just like the crowd's stunning reaction to all of a sudden Madison Rayne fucking like glomping on fucking Earl Hebner. And the fact that at one point he wears a shirt that reads, "Yeah, I did it." As though he's like, I'm old and I still get the pussy, you know, and that sort of shit. And I thought that was just hilarious. Like, the one line that I think stands out to a lot of people is, Earl would never screw anybody in the ring. But on to the match. The match itself, like a lot of these other ones, was entertaining enough. It's a sort of thing that I would say it's entertaining enough to get a 7, and the ending again was a good bit of a good funny bit of the storyline going on. Madison Rayne wins by Earl Hebner missing a call or missing something that Madison Rayne was doing. So, new winner and new Knockouts champion Madison Rayne. And here's sort of a problem with the pay-per-view as a whole. It's a good thing that there are no bad matches and that all the matches on this are good. But the problem they have is that they don't have enough standout matches. They don't have, like, they don't have those, like, truly incredible matches, with maybe one exception, you know. But I like how this built up. Like, a lot of these, like, after this, the matches started getting better. But at the same time, it kind of feels like there should have been more, and they should have been a lot more different. Not saying these matches were samey, because there was still a lot of variety, and I think that's what kept things fresh and kept each match from being good. But I think there should have been a little more standout ones. The next match. This was a great integration of the ongoing storyline with aces and eights into what's going on in the match. Bully Ray versus James Storm versus Robbie E versus Jeff Hardy. Now, a lot of people are gonna hate on Robbie E, and I'm gonna do it right now because of one big fuck up he did in this match. At one point, someone is about to get double suplexed into a table. Robbie E is supposed to move it out of the way, and he doesn't move it out of the way entirely, so a corner of the table catches the guy's back. So, yeah, that's going to get that guy a lot of heat. But I got to admit, he had balls for sticking through a lot of the shit he went through afterwards and before. Like, I don't know what the hell Bully Ray's hand is made out of, but it should not make that sound that it does when he chops the fucking hell out of people. I swear, it sounds like a slave lash when he fucking chops people. But yeah, this was actually a really good table match. They had some really nice suspenseful moments with the table, and I loved the moment when aces and eights all of a sudden came in to try to stop Bully Ray and what was the other one? And Jeff Hardy. Everyone had a moment where they could shine very well. And where I was really surprised with this was Robbie E. Robbie E held his own with a lot of these guys, even though he's kind of a joke in TNA. But they gave him a chance to shine, and you know what? He looked good. He dropped a pretty sweet elbow drop, which would have been probably a lot better if he didn't miss. Although that was obviously scripted from the way you look at it. But anyway, with all this shit going on, they're firmly planting the eyes on everybody that James Storm is the leader of the aces and eights. And even with all the shit that went down, James Storm did not win. Bully Ray had enough senses about him to collect himself to throw James Storm out of the way, and I just hit my microphone, and powerbomb Jeff Hardy through the table. He wins. He gets 20 points in the Bound for Glory series, and I love Bully Ray's action in this. Like, if you look at him, he looks so paranoid. The instant the match is over, he runs the fuck away and covers his head trying to make sure that he doesn't get attacked by aces and eights. So yeah, pretty good match. That's all I have to say. I don't think it stood out as much as it really should have. Again, I think if I gave it a number, it would be 8 out of 10. It's not quite that 9, like, oh yeah, that was a damn good match. No, it was like, yeah, this is pretty good. You know, that sort of feeling. And I'm going to say this now, another 8 out of 10 match. The X Division title match between Kenny King and Zema Ion. This was pretty much an X Division match. It was a really interesting X Division match with a crowd really behind Kenny King. This was pretty much them trying to get Kenny King as much credit and to be able to get over with the audience as much as possible. And I think they did a pretty damn good job. He got such great offense on this, and Zema Ion got such great heat from everybody in this, from everybody in the audience in this match. And I thought that was pretty damn good. Very well worked match. The ending was a little weak. Like I felt like it should have been a lot harder. Like, it didn't feel quite as much that, oh, how the hell did Zema Ion win off the gory bomb of all things? But you know, still a really well worked match. I thought the ending, while the move itself was kind of lackluster, I thought the way they went into it was really good. But yeah, you know, pretty good match between Kenny King and Zema Ion. Zema Ion wins with the gory bomb. No real complaints. 8 out of 10. Match of the night. This next match for 20 points in the Bound for Glory series is a ladder match between Kurt Angle, the I just gotta say this. I don't know why, but I'm trying to come up with like Twitter tags for all of these guys. It's just something I do because I actually do participate in the Twitter things on when I'm watching this show. And the Twitter tag I gave Kurt Angle was Alcoholic Olympian. But yeah, it was Kurt Angle versus the fat ass Samoan Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, and AJ Styles. This was fucking awesome, man. This was a great match. You know, obviously with Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, and AJ Styles all together, it's like, yeah, of course it's going to be an amazing match. But I don't know, just the brutal moves they did, the pace, the good pacing they had in it all, the very creative spots they had, the hilarious moments, the funny moments, the serious moments, the redemptive moments, like they were all there, and they were all just so well paced out, so well spaced out, I should say, so properly executed that it just all worked. You know, it's the sort of thing like you see these names all in the same match with a ladder, and you're like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a damn good show. You know, it's not like that truly, holy shit, what the fuck was that? That was the greatest thing ever match. But, you know, it's up there. It's one of those matches that if you're like, it's like, oh yeah, that pay-per-view, that's where this match happened, right? You know, this is quite simply, damn good match. My match of the night, 9 out of 10. And the match ended with AJ Styles. Like, the ending was actually... The ending was kind of sudden in that match. Like, and AJ Styles just springboarded onto a ladder that Samoa Joe had already set up. Samoa Joe was right there. I was rooting for the fat ass Samoan to win, but AJ just hopped onto the ladder, grabbed the contract, and just dropped off. And you just see Joe like, what the fuck? And that was just perfect for that sort of thing. But anyway, AJ wins. You know, all these guys look great. All these guys stand out. No complaints at all. This was really cool. AJ Styles wins. And now on to the main event for the TNA Heavyweight Championship of the World. Bobby Roode versus Austin Aries. This match, it was not as good as their match at Destination X. I thought it dragged out a bit longer than it should have, but I know why they did it. It's because the match, they tried to make it give it the most epic scale of match, but I don't think it worked quite as well as they could have. But still, this was a pretty good match. Like there was a little bit of everything when you really watched this. There was that really hard striking stuff. There was the really like the really good technical stuff, the high flying stuff. I actually thought Austin went a little too much into the air, but still, I think it mostly worked. I just don't think it worked as incredibly as it should have been. It felt a little too slow around the middle, and I'm not really sure. And I'm pretty sure, like, if you restart a match, I think the ending has to be more decisive and less about humiliating the bad guy and more about, you know, the good guy really overcoming things in a very, very definitive way. You want a very good example of this? Look up the 30-minute Iron Man match between Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, because that's a very, very good example. But yeah, Austin Aries goes over after the match was restarted due to a call by 2 referees, and he beats Bobby Roode by putting him in a schoolboy of all things, but still, pretty good match. If I would give it a number, 8 out of 10. So, that was Hardcore Justice. How would I overall, like, rate the pay-per-view? A ton of good matches, but only a few that really do enough. As I said in my review of Slammiversary, this has to be building up to like a huge crescendo if you're going to be doing something like this. either build a roller coaster where it all goes up and down and, you know, everything kind of calms you down so that the next one could blow you away again, or keep getting up and keep improving upon your matches so that you keep saying, oh wow, that was better than the last one, better than the last one, better than the last one. That didn't really quite work. You know, I thought the 4-way between Bully Ray and Zema Ion was better than the match with Kenny King, and I felt, you know, which was supposed to succeed it. And I thought the match between Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, and Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles was better than Austin Aries, which was before it. So I don't think the pacing on this was quite as well as it could have been. And as much as I liked a lot of these matches, they're not that truly striking, memorable matches that you'll remember forever. As again I said, you kind of need in these sort of things. But at the same time, I'd say this was a good pay-per-view. I would call it on a whole watching better than Slammiversary, but for kind of different reasons. Like Slammiversary had kind of lower lows, but it also had higher high moments, in my opinion. But this one had, as I said, it just doesn't stand out as much. It's that sort of gray zone where a lot of things become unremarkable, but, you know, there are still things that really do shine. So what would I overall rate? So overall, what would I rate Hardcore Justice? I'm not sure if I should actually use a point system, because I don't want to go like 7.5, but it feels like somewhere between a 7 pay-per-view and an 8 pay-per-view. Like 7 feels like, oh, that was good. I was watching through it, but you know, that kind of doesn't. I was watching through it, not bored, but at the same time, and you know, there were moments that really did stand out. This is a very difficult thing to properly grade. I'm thinking 7 is a fair grade. As much as certain things did stand out, they didn't stand out quite as much as they should have. But still, this is a good pay-per-view. I'm going to be honest. This is better than the last WWE pay-per-views I've seen. Keep in mind, I missed Money in the Bank because I was at Comic-Con. So, you know, that's why, by the way, that's my explanation as to why I didn't put a review up for that. But anyway, thanks for listening. This has been Mr. Sanders. And I'll catch y'all probably next week for, what was that pay-per-view called again? SummerSlam. Hell, it's in fucking Los Angeles. I fucking live here. I've seen advertisements for SummerSlam. How the fuck did that name escape me for as long as it did? Shit. You know, I'll see you on a fucking... Actually, I might see you for previews on that. But whatever. This has been Mr. Sanders. Catch y'all later.